This week on 2024 Campaign Trail, we're on the road with some unscripted moments from stops in Michigan and Georgia by this year's Democratic and Republican presidential and vice presidential nominees. We'll also take a look at highlights from our Washington Journal interviews with the Libertarian and Green Party presidential candidates. But first, a look at the latest polling in swing states. Bloomberg and the Morning Consult released polling from 6 swing states, showing Vice President Kamala Harris up against former President Donald Trump. They were also tied in Arizona. Her biggest margins were in Wisconsin, where she was up 8 points. Also this week, former President Trump posted on his Truth Social site that after back and forth about whether he would appear for a scheduled September 10th debate hosted by ABC News, his campaign and the Harris-Walz campaign had agreed to rules, including having no studio audience and microphones muted at certain times. The debate will air live on September 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern. Make sure to watch here on the C-SPAN networks. Our first stop on this week's campaign trail is in Las Vegas, where former President Trump made his first appearance at a Mexican restaurant, where he was touting his no taxes on tips policy proposal. It was also where he first made remarks on independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., announcing the suspension of his own campaign to endorse former President Trump.
I'm just going to go right now, and we're heading out to Arizona. We'll be seeing, but he's really a terrific guy. I've had a long-term friendship with him. He's a very talented person. It's an honor. He just announced, and it's a great honor. It really is. He's very popular. He's very smart. He has a great family, wonderful family, and so I'm going to say hello to him now.
He says he's going to stay on the ballot in 40 other states. Is that sufficient? Do you think he should try to get off the ballot in all states?
Well, I think they're trying to get off ballot. I mean, we'll see. I mean, they're going to have to work that out.
Mr. President,
I think having his support is...
Mr. President,
RFK, his words about your policies and praising your policies, is that to help you with the unaffiliated, like in North Carolina, the independent vote, and the Jewish vote, considering...
Well, I think so. He's just a respected person. Not everybody agrees with everything he says, but that's true with everybody. But he's a very respected person. He's really a very beloved person in many ways. I mean, he's beyond. I think, frankly, if the Democrats had treated him very badly, and then they ended up treating Biden the same way as they treated him, but they treated him very badly. I think if he ran in the Democrat primary, he would have beaten Biden. That's my opinion. But they wouldn't let him run. I mean, they came up with obstacles that were impossible, like you have to have 60% of the vote to run, and they came up with things that were crazy. But they didn't want him running. I think if he would have run in the Democrat primary, I think he would have won. I think he would have beaten Biden.
On the general state of the race, there's a widespread perception that Kamala Harris replacing Joe Biden on the Democratic ticket has thrown you off your game, gotten under your skin. What do you say to that?
No, I think we're doing great. I think we're leading. We just had a Rasmussen poll. We're up by 5. We're doing, I think, very well. What is unfair is that it's unfair to him, but it's also unfair to me. I was leading by 17 or 18 points after the debate, and they said, he's going to lose. And they went and told him, you're going to lose. We want to replace you. Crazy Nancy Pelosi went in with a group with Obama, and with others. But they went in with a group and they said, you know, we want you out. And they took him out, and it was a bad thing to do, but also unfair to me. I spent $100 million fighting against the man that won in their party. And we had a debate, and the debate was good for me. It wasn't good for him. And then all of a sudden they take him out and they put somebody new in that never got a vote. She didn't get a single vote. He got 14 million votes. She got none. So I'm running against her. Now we're up in the polls. We're winning on the swing states. But, you know, I've got to beat two people.
The former president also made a surprise visit to a campaign office in Roseville, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit. He delivered pizza to campaign workers and thanked them for their work on his presidential campaign.
Would bring you some pizza. Thank you. We have plenty coming, but we're doing well. We have great poll numbers. We're looking good. I think people are just tired of it with these people. He goes on a vacation. He comes back. He goes on another vacation. And they're talking nuclear war. Okay, we have a guy talking nuclear war, and we have somebody that has no clue. It's terrible, and she's worse than he is. She's a Marxist, and she's worse than he is, frankly. So it's you know, so disappointing. Can you imagine? He's on vacation in California. They basically take away his nomination. Nobody's ever seen anything like that before. So he leaves and goes on vacation. He got 14. In all fairness to him, I'm no fan of Sleepy Joe, believe me, but he got 14 million votes. She got no votes, and they took it away. And you know, they did the same thing. We signed up RFK, who's great. He's a good guy. Got so many votes. And so I just wanted to pay my respects. We love you all. We're going to be back. We're going to be back. And oh, look, we have John. We have everybody, huh? Lisa. And that was great. We all were together on the last one, and it was great. And you know, Tulsi. So Tulsi just endorsed me. Tulsi just endorsed me in front of the National Guard. That made it permanent, you know, when you're in front of the National Guard. She gave us a great endorsement, actually. And I've had a lot of respect for her for a long time. And, you know, to a large extent, you are about common sense, too. John's about common sense. Lisa's a killer. Lisa. How good is she, right? But this is an incredible group, and we just appreciate it. Again, if we win here, you know, Tulsi, we do all these things, and who knows, right? But you win here. The automakers and the auto workers, you can forget the auto industry if we don't win. We're going to bring tremendous amounts of plants in. We're going to bring them in because we're going to do it with tariffs. It's so simple. They're building now two of the largest plants in the world in Mexico, and China owns them. And they think they're going to make cars, and they're going to sell them into the United States, and there's not going to be a price to pay. We're not going to let them do it. They're going to take all our jobs. These plants are massive. A couple of them could take half of Detroit. You know, it's the real deal. A friend of mine builds plants. I said, I want to go see a plant. I want to see what it's like. Oh, good. We'll go to Mexico. I said, no, I want to see one here. He said the big ones are being built in Mexico, and they're owned by China to a large extent. The two that I'm talking about are. Oh, can you believe it? This would never happen. 4 years ago, they were not doing it. Because I said, if you build a plant, you got 150% tariff that we're putting, and you're not going to be able to sell your car. You could sell it, but you're not selling it in here. And they will destroy our auto industry totally. And we're going to make it, we're going to double it up. I'll bet you we will double it up within the 2.5-year period. In 2.5 years, it'll be doubled up. So just remember. So I just want to, you ought to spread the word to this character that the head of the union, he is selling them down the tubes. I just saw a poll. We have 88% of the auto workers, and he endorsed Sleepy Joe. Crooked Joe, Sleepy Joe, I guess it doesn't matter anymore. Somebody said, oh, you shouldn't waste your time. He's the president, right? Yeah. He's the president. They said, oh, don't waste your time with him. He doesn't matter. Can you believe it? So we're going to have a great time. When you look at their convention, when you look at what they were really saying, and what they weren't saying is worse. They didn't say what they're going to be doing. I will tell you, we're going to make America greater than ever before. I appreciate your support. That woman with those beautiful eyes, and she's crying. She's crying because she said, sir, you won it the last time. And we did. He won it the last time, too, by the way. I'll be honest. He's less controversial than me. He may not want it. But he won it the last time. But he's doing great. Anyway, John is doing great. Thank you all very much. We appreciate it. Enjoy the pizza. Okay? Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you. We'll come back. We'll be back. We'll be back a lot. Thank you very much. You want?
The Democratic and Republican vice presidential nominees both made stops in Boston last week at the International Association of Firefighters Labor Union Convention. First, a couple of minutes from Democrat Tim Walz's remarks, in which he touted the Harris-Walz campaign's support of organized labor.
I know guns. I'm a 24-year veteran. I'm a hunter. I was one of the best shots in Congress, and I got the trophies to prove it. I could outshoot them every year. But I'm not going to stand by and let someone say that this is about the Second Amendment when our first responsibility is protection of our kids. It is not a false choice. We can have and protect the Second Amendment and keep guns out of our schools that are killing our kids and do things right. That stuff's common sense. Vice President Harris brings that to the White House. That's a future we can build together. We don't have to go to every damn family gathering and fight about things that we mostly agree on. We don't have to find ways to divide us, and we can have legitimate policy discussions that differ on issues but come to common goals. And on issues of labor rights, of middle-class rights, of paying your fair share, of cutting taxes for the middle class, we're going to need you with us to win that fight. So I'd ask all of you, I am a former football coach, and I give halftime speeches all the time. But I do have to admit this. I know I'm in Red Sox country. Go Twins. I'm going to try a baseball analogy, people, so bear with me. Game 7 of the World Series. We're down a couple runs, but we got the rally hats on. We got runners on base, and our heavy hitters are on deck. We got the hometown going wild. Sisters and brothers in labor, it's time for you to step up to the plate. We've got 69 days to win this thing, 69 days to protect labor rights, 69 days to do things that we know people who have laid their life on the line, like Chris Parsons, to protect this as a public service and are simply asking to be treated fairly. That's what we get to do. On that 70th day, we wake up and know that the policies that positively impact you are going to become law. That's what we have to believe. So I'll tell you what, our hitters are coming up. It's you. This is a vision about the possibility of America. This is the vision about a positive America. This is a vision about what we can do together. And the reason that I feel so good is knowing that the heavy hitters in this room are coming up next is you know how to fight. That's all you know how to do. That's all you've had to do every step of the way to improve this profession and to bring people into it. So as the next president of the United States always says, when we fight, we win. Thank you all.
Republican vice presidential nominee Senator J.D. Vance spoke at the same convention the following day. Here's some of what he had to say.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Well, Semper Fi, guys. We got some. It sounds like we got some fans and some haters. That's okay. Listen to what I have to say here, and I'll make my pitch. I want to first say thank you to Representative Jimenez for the great introduction. It's very kind of you. Thank you for your service to our country. President Trump and I are proud to be the most pro-worker Republican ticket in history, and I want to talk about why we're fighting for working people, why we're going to fight for unions and non-union alike. Now, our enemies and a lot of Democrats call us populists, like it's something of an insult. But if being a populist means being on the side of working people rather than the powerful elites who hollowed out our middle class and sent us into stupid foreign wars, then sign me up. I am a populist, and I'm proud of it. When I was 12, my mom was in the middle of a terrible, terrible addiction crisis herself. She struggled with it for most of my early childhood. And I remember during a particularly bad episode, I called 911. Like so many kids who have parents who struggle, I called 911. Now, the firefighters, the EMTs, and the police came. They calmed her down, but as you all know, they calmed me down too. They calmed my sister down. They did that public service that only they can do. Now, years later, she took something else that she shouldn't have taken. And the firefighters and the EMTs, they saved her life and took her to the hospital, where she lay in a coma before eventually waking up. And I want you to know that for us, we did get a second chance. And so if you're ever worried that you're not making a difference, listen to this. From the sad and tearful 12-year-old to a 40-year-old who's now asking to be your vice president, you do make a difference. You make a difference every single day, and I thank you for it. And I'd ask you, after supporting Democrats for so long in this union, what has it gotten you? Over the past 70 years, union membership in this country, and this is not a good thing, but it has declined. The influence of unions has declined, and the wages of working people, union and non-union alike, have not kept up with the pace of inflation over the last 3.5 years. So I want to ask you a question that Donald Trump asked America in 2016, what the hell do you have to lose? We will respect your right to engage in collective bargaining. And this is important too. We're going to defend your right to free speech, including your right to speak out about unconstitutional COVID vaccine mandates imposed by the current administration. We're going to abolish every single mandate, and we're going to fight to rehire every firefighter who was wrongly terminated with all the back pay that they deserve.
Next, we're on the road in and around Savannah, Georgia. That's where the Democratic presidential and vice presidential nominees were on a 2-day bus tour, meeting voters at a number of local businesses. Here are some of the unscripted highlights from their time in Georgia.
To the staff that's here, my previous job to this was, of course, public school teacher and coach, which I wear with pride. To all of you, thank you. Thanks for having us in your school, and thanks to all the teams that are here. I think you kind of embody this idea, and the Vice President talks a lot about it. Each of our individual talents, what we can contribute, but something bigger than ourselves when you get together. Your single instrument alone is an amazing thing. But as part of this band, it becomes really amazing. And then to see a school community, each and every one of these teams, I said I coach football a lot, but all of this is part of doing something bigger. And I think having us in here, stressing why the Vice President says it often, that education is the key to the middle class, a pathway to the middle class, and it shouldn't be burdening you with debt, should give you an opportunity to get there. So I think when we can get into a public school like this, we're able to see you and tell you, it's not just the teachers here tell you, they know they do this work It's not a cliche. This is truly about building towards the future, and you're that future. And so when we're in a room like this, it lifts everybody's spirits, lifts the country's spirits. And Vice President talks about that often, about the positive and the joyful work that we can do and the things that we're trying to make sure happen. So I'm just grateful that you'd have us here. I'm grateful to be part of a team with a really great head coach here in your next President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
I've been hearing about you incredible young leaders for quite some time, from the players to those who are bringing joy to everybody in the stands, to the music that you guys are creating. And so we wanted to come by just to let you know that our country is counting on you, all of you. You are leaders. By the very fact that you all are here in this room, doing what you do at this incredible school, doing it as one big team, understanding all of the different parts that fit together to create a team. You are doing some of the best work any leader can do. And we're so proud of you, and we're counting on you. Your generation, all that you guys stand for, everything you have at stake, is what is going to propel our country into the next era of what we can do and what we can be. And I want to say to you that you must always lead as you have chosen to lead, understanding you don't have to ask anybody's permission to lead. And I think you all have figured that out. You've decided to be a leader. And in doing that, you are also role models, right? Welcome to the Role Model Club, right? And being a role model, right, means that they're going to be members of your family, people who live in your neighborhood, your classmates who watch you to see, oh, that's how it's done. And in that way, you are showing what hard work can achieve, what discipline can achieve, what teamwork can achieve. And that's the stuff of great leadership. All of that.
I lived in Jonesboro, so not far from West Memphis. So we would go over there a lot.
Went to college in my first year.
Did you really? Yeah,
My mom graduated.
I did.
you lived in Jonesboro. Oh, pleasure to meet you. So you're a graduate of... Yeah, I lived there, built suntan pits for a year, worked at a lot of construction, and then what was it? What was the big company? There were quite a bit of that kind of manufacturing was done. So I wanted to just...
It's been a while since I graduated.
Yeah, but we would go over to Memphis.
Yeah.
West Memphis. So, well, thanks for having us. It's good.
So excited about this.
Years ago, my kids were little. We were down here in Charleston and Savannah for vacation. And I just remembered. I said I still am just struck by the Spanish moss, the trees, and the field. Very beautiful. It's just so iconic. It goes that way. So, but
I think Savannah even more so with that. Charleston, they had a little bit more of a canopy of trees.
They do. It's just different. Things are just different. So it's great. It's good to be down here. I said I think talking about politics is more hopeful. Trying about what can be done, a little more optimistic, a little more, this country is a great country. Small businesses can work, but we need to get the policies right. Hard to find workers. And it's really hard to find workers. So got really low unemployment rate, but that's hard for small businesses.
Oh, we know.
Politicians brag about low unemployment rates, but that's hard. And then how do you keep them?
It is probably our biggest issue.
It is. That's what we see in Minnesota because our
Also, those are the two things really since COVID.
And by leveling, we talk about the prices of where they're at or whatever. We're in farm country, whatever. Farmers aren't getting much for commodity prices, so where's the money? That's the thing. A bushel of, corn, soybeans, those prices are really depressed.
Okay, Keith.
Where's the money?
my mom, Jean Latour.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
She's a big fan. They both
I
are.
am a big fan.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And congratulations on all the success. I've been reading about all that you've been doing. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm tired right now.
What time did you get here?
I got here at 8:30, but I was going to take a break if I didn't get to take it.
Next, some of the discussion from our Washington Journal morning program with Libertarian Party presidential nominee Chase Oliver, who joined to talk about his third-party bid for the White House. Here's his response to our question about how Kamala Harris's ascent to the top of the Democratic ticket impacted the presidential race.
Well, I think, first off, I think Joe Biden, probably recognized that he was probably not going to win the election if he stayed in. And that's why he dropped out. As far as new and fresh, Kamala Harris is 20 years younger than Joe Biden, but she still served in his administration. She still backs much of the proposals that he did during his time as president. And so I don't think it's really new and refreshing if we're just throwing a fresh coat of paint on the same old ideas. And to me, that is, I understand there might be some excitement around changing the ticket. But for me, I don't see anything majorly different coming out of Kamala Harris that we weren't going to be seeing coming out of Joe Biden, other than the fact that she's 20 years younger and can maybe articulate those ideas a little bit better than Joe Biden was able to on a debate stage with Donald Trump, which was kind of what led to so many in his own party wanting him to leave.
And Chase Oliver, obviously, RFK Jr. has also suspended his campaign. What impact, and endorsed former President Trump, what impact do you think that that's going to have on your campaign? And are you making a pitch for those RFK Jr. voters? And what are you saying to them?
Absolutely. We are making a pitch for those voters, and we've already seen good response from folks about that. The main pitch I have to those people is if you were voting for Robert Kennedy out of frustration of the two-party system, I join you in those frustrations. And I think many of the policy areas that Robert Kennedy was highlighting, things like corporate capture, medical freedom, and others, are things that could be attractive to a voter if they look at the Libertarian Party and look at our policies. And so I welcome the Robert Kennedy voters to come in the tent. If you're feeling frustrated from the two-party system, welcome home to the Libertarian Party. Come in, stay a while, grow into your libertarianism. But we want you to get in the door and vote for us so we can build an apparatus that can actually challenge the two-party system. If you vote for me in November, you're not just voting for me. You're voting for the Libertarian Party. You're voting for ballot access in states all over the country, to get major party status in states all over the country. And that can help build a vehicle that will really challenge the two-party system in the long haul. This isn't about a one election. It's not about me. It's not about Robert Kennedy. It's about challenging a two-party system that continues to fail the American public. And if you're a frustrated, now former Robert Kennedy voter who's thinking, I just can't vote for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris because I don't want to vote within the two-party system, give us a look. Check us out. Check out our platform. Kick the tires. I think you'll like what you see.
Last, a look at a conversation from the same edition of Washington Journal with Green Party presidential nominee Jill Stein. She talked about what set her party apart and its quest for ballot access in the 2024 election.
We are a people-powered party. We don't take money from corporations, from billionaires. We don't use the big loopholes that Biden, Harris, Trump, RFK, all the big candidates use these big loopholes. A single donor can write a check for $1 million, and it basically gets laundered into the campaign, which means that, that powerful people can exert a lot of influence from the inside. So we are basically the one party which is not taking legalized bribes, so we can actually stand up for what it is that people want, for healthcare for everyone as a human right, which is through a system that's way more efficient, cuts out the middleman, the red tape, and the bureaucracy, saves a ton of money while it covers everybody. We can bring down the cost of housing, build the housing that we actually need, so-called social housing. We can end student debt, make public higher education free, and above all, cut the military, the bloated military that's eating up half of our congressional dollars and spending money overseas, like in a genocide right now in Palestine, a genocide that's just getting the whole world into trouble. Likewise, in Ukraine, we keep pouring billions and billions into Ukraine as well. We're creating these incredible explosive situations all around the world which are impoverishing us because they gobble up half of our budget, and they're endangering the whole world. So we are the one party that can do the right thing for everyday people because we do not have strings being pulled from the inside by the bankers and the billionaires and big pharma and all that.
And I'm showing a map of the United States with your ballot access. So the green is where you'll be on the ballot. The lavender color is awaiting certification, actively petitioning in Kentucky, and not on the ballot in just a few states. Can you review what's going on with your ballot access and also what's happening with Wisconsin?
Great. So simple good news first is that we won in Wisconsin. So we will be on the ballot. The simple story is that the Democrats don't like competition. They need to rename their party. It should be called the Anti-Democratic Party, not the Democratic, because what they try to do is throw their competitors off the ballot. Why? Because they don't want to face us in the court of public opinion. They're pretty scared because we are offering what their base wants.
A reminder, this program and all of C-SPAN's campaign 2024 coverage can be found online at cspan.org/campaign.